All right. Before we get into tonight's college basketball slate, I need you
Yeah.
to give me my credit.
Yeah. I knew this
for Tennessee. You know it was coming. You know it was coming.
dreaded it.
Last night on the podcast with Deshaun, I was like, it was funny because I was sitting there watching the game, and I was texting. I was like, "Hey, Deshaun, I host a podcast with Deshaun Butler, so I was texting him. I was like, "Hey, my SEC network isn't working. Do you know what the score is in the Tennessee game?" And every time they scored again, I would do it again, and he was like, "Are you actually watching the game?"
That's all I could think about was like I love this Tennessee team so much, but I hate the fact that they're playing this well because I'm gonna have to hear it every day for the rest of the effing season.
Well, look,
they're unbelievable.
Yeah, they were great, and we can elaborate that on.
Or are they great, or is Missouri just mediocre?
All of the above.
Okay,
all of the above. There's no.
Yep.
My take is there's no second best team in the SEC, and there's no best team in the ACC. And then there's the three best teams in the country. You got Gonzaga at number 1. You got Baylor and Tennessee at 1A.
Yep.
And then you got like everybody else. But I do want to let all of the listeners and all the watchers know. Yesterday, my picks went 6-0. Your picks went 6-1. 6-1 is not quite as good as 6-0.
Wait.
But because of how well I did and how many, like I had 3 different bets on the Tennessee game alone. All of them hit.
Yep.
I think it was time to bust out this T-shirt.
What is that? What the hell is that?
My grandma got it for me for Christmas.
You've been waiting. Actually, the timing's good because you had a good night. You know,
I couldn't bust this out after I went 0-4 the other night.
Well,
6-0, baby.
Well,
6-0.
Do you want to read out my my overall numbers?
96 and 64.
96 and 64.
That is a 66.6%.
Yeah.
You are for every game, every 3 games you pick, you have 2 winners right now.
Honestly,
I've never seen a heater like this ever.
I mean,
ever.
Really, if whoever's been on this since the season started should send me a commission. They should send just something, just like a little Christmas present, Happy New Year's, whatever. It can be something small. It could be a autographed thank you, because listen. If you expect me to keep this up, you're out of your mind. Like,
well, you know what's going to happen is DraftKings is going to drop us as a sponsor because you're taking too much of their money.
It's incredible. No, I'm like 6-1 last night, and honestly, I'm like ho hum. Like, okay, like I went 6-1.
Another 6-1 night. These are just so common for me. I'm Jeff Moneybags.
It's crazy. Goodman. It's crazy. All right, let's get back to last night's action.
All right, so let's have a real conversation about Tennessee because for me, what makes them so impressive is what they can do on the defensive end of the floor. Like, look, Yves Pons. It's Yves Pons. I always.
Why do you keep calling him Yves?
Because it's just in my head. No, here's what it is. Like, I got stuck with this with like Hinkle Fieldhouse versus Hilton Coliseum, where like I know what the right one is, but then as I go to say it, I'm like, is that the right one? And I always get it wrong because I'm like, well, I think it's Eve, but why if I think it's Eve and I'm right, why am I nervous about saying it? So I'm just going to say the wrong one, which is why you always be like, you always hear me reference like Hinkle Magic or.
So you say it quickly so that we don't know if you screw it up or not. That's what you end up doing.
That's exactly what I do. That's exactly Epons.
Right.
But I mean, he's such a monster defensively, man. It was hilarious watching guys try to score in the lane. Like he caused 3 travels last night because people would try to pump fake because they were like, I don't want to get my shit put through a backboard by Yves Pons. So and Keon Johnson's great defensively, but like every one of those
good.
Josiah Jordan James is like a 6'6", 225-pound point guard that can guard anywhere 1 through 4. You know, Victor Bailey's a terrific athlete that's making shots. Santiago Vescovi, like I thought he was going to be the guy that kind of like pulled the defense. Like you're kind of as good as your weakest part when it comes to a defense the way that Tennessee plays it. And I thought Vescovi was going to be that guy, but it's just like he's so savvy and heady. Like he's sitting there waiting in the passing lanes for you to make a mistake. He's sitting there trying to get you to drive towards him so he can jump in and strip the ball from you when he's taken down.
He's a senior. Like, he's a senior. He's just tough as
Mm-hmm.
shit. I mean, I swear I think he like broke his thumb at one point last night, and he's grabbing it and he's like, I'm not coming out of this game. Like, I'm not coming out. Like,
and literally 3 seconds later, he hit like a 17-foot fadeaway jumper that touched nothing. Like, you know, the saying, nothing but the bottom of the net. Like, that touched so little of the net that I was like, wow, he missed that shot by like a foot. It was a foot short. No, it went in.
Yeah, they got 8 dudes that know their roles, that are okay with their roles, even though all of these dudes came in, not all of them, but like the young guys all come in thinking they're going to be first-round picks. You know, that's the impressive part. They've got them bought into guarding. And I give Rick Barnes, Mike Schwartz, and the rest of the staff a ton of credit, because what they've done is what Kentucky's been unable to do this year, which is getting them to buy into team first, period.
Yes. And you got to give them credit too, because they identified, they have 5 stars coming in. They have one and done kid. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Jaden Springer and Keon Johnson are probably going to be one and dones. But they identified the players that have a certain personality that will fit their program, right? Like, they're not just, Jay Wright did the same thing at Villanova for a while. Like, he was going out and getting 5 stars just because they were 5 stars, instead of identifying the guys that are kind of in that range that will fit the culture and the personality and the style of play. And like, Keon Johnson got no ego, loves playing defense. Just everything that he does fits perfectly with the way that Tennessee wants to play. And he's a 5-star projected. It's like a top 10 pick that's coming off the bench.
Yeah,
you know, we saw it's kind of similar to like Patrick Williams at Florida State last year, where it's just like he bought in. And to me, that's part of the reason why, and I'm sure you could touch on this as well, that's part of the reason why I'm so high on him as a pro and as a prospect, is because like I don't think he's ever going to be a star, but like he's buying into his role. And at the NBA level, he's going to have to buy into a role. And he's proven he can do
that. This Tennessee defense, number 1 in the country right now in points allowed, ahead of Texas Tech. That's pretty damn good, right? Mm-hmm. When you got Beard beat on the defensive end, that is pretty damn good. They don't allow teams to shoot it from 3. They've got length. They've got athleticism. Like you said, they play hard as shit. They come after you. They're the best matchup for Gonzaga. They are. They're the best matchup. I'm not sure they beat them, but they match up well against Gonzaga. The only thing I worry about with Tennessee, Rob, is can they shoot the 3 well enough consistently? Do they have enough dudes? Vescovi can make them. Bailey can make some. Other than that, they're going 2s, and they got to hold you to, under 60.
Yeah, their whole offense is kind of schemed around getting those little like 7 or 8 foot pull-ups in the lane, which, I mean, I think we've talked about this on this stream before, where it's like that's not a bad shot if you can get it, right? I think in the words of Clint Parks, this is one of my favorite lines of anybody. He says the mid-range is a layup if you grind, and those guys are all just like hitting their mid-range pull-ups. So my thing with them is offensively, like, who do you give the ball to? Let's say that the clock's winding down. There's 10 seconds left.
I don't know the answer to that.
Who do you give the ball to? Like, we know Gonzaga's got 3 of those guys. Right. Baylor's got a couple of them, right? You can give it to Jared Butler. You can give it to Macy O'Teague. At this point, you could probably give it to Davion Mitchell and feel pretty good about it. I don't know who you give it to on Tennessee. Like, a lot of their stuff just comes from execution, and that's probably why I have them just a little bit.
And transition, too, off their defense.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not like I'm thinking about it like, okay, they're playing Baylor, right? They're not going to be forcing 19 turnovers against Baylor. They're not going to do it against Gonzaga. So that's why I have them like slightly below. But the thing that's great about all 3 of those teams, and why like I really hope all of them make it to the Final Four so we can kind of see them play, is that they all match up so well with each other. They all can go like play 4 out. They all have one big that is really skilled, So
it'd be fun. That's what I said. Like, that should have been the Champions Classic. Like, put Villanova in there too. Those 4 teams, rather than a crappy Kentucky team. Duke that's not good. Michigan State stinks right now. The only one of those 4 that's worth anything right now is Kansas.
Yeah, Duke, Kentucky, and Michigan State might not make the NCAA tournament.